educated and raise the consciousness of the many people that have driven by this corner from 12 noon to 1 p.m. every day. From December of 1984, when Everett was suffocated, and we called for this picket line. The picket has gone from many to one or two, but what remained constant was the issue of police brutality. When the media, the courts, city officials, and the police department ignored or tried to kill the issue, the picket line kept it alive. That is a victory for all justice-loving people. Our struggle is a continuous one, and it will not end with this picket line. Our struggle will continue on a high level. We still call for the firing of Police Chief Everett, who supported police brutality among police officers fan the frames of racist police attacks. The police cannot police themselves. Only an impartial and independent civilian review board can ease the police brutality so many blacks and other Austinites face. No board established and led by police department officials can even begin to address this issue. We have taken our struggle to the streets, to the courts, to the city, and we will take it wherever we have to go to stop police brutality. The struggle continues.
So what are you going to do now?
Well, we will begin to hold teach-ins. You will begin to see the victims themselves telling their own story, okay? We are not abandoning the police issue by ending this demonstration. When we started this demonstration 18 months ago, we said at that time we will demonstrate a minimum of 14 months. Of 18 months. We said it at that. So we will do workshops. We have a lot of plans to keep the issue alive, okay?
When you talk about dealing with it on a higher level, are you going to try to set up
we will continue to struggle. We will continue to struggle for a civilian review board. The struggle for a civilian review board did not start in 1984. That has been an ongoing struggle for the last 10 to 15 years. So we will continue to struggle for that until we get there, you know. We will.
Has your position changed?
No, our position has not changed because the police brutality has not ceased. In fact, it's on the increase. And it's not, it's no longer situated in one area of the city. It is citywide, okay? During this past 18 months, we came to find out just how widespread police brutality really is. It's a citywide issue now.
You have people that are following you
on a continuous basis.
That connect with the same day.
Yes, yes.
How many calls do you got like
Oh, I get an average of 2 or 3 phone calls a month. 2 or 3 a month? Yes.
You took your demand from the review board to the city council?
Well, we have taken our concerns to the city council, but the city council has been kind of complacent as far as civilian review board, dealing with the police chief, city manager, you know. And this has been going on for the last 10, 15 years. So this is nothing new. This council is no different from the previous council. So our struggle continues on that point too. Hopefully in the future we will get a council that will be receptive to what the people really want.
What did you mention teach-ins? I didn't understand.
Police officers, you know, who to call, you know, and the event that happened. It happens so frequent. We find out we have a lot of officers who refuse to even give their name, you know, and we find that people are so intimidated and so afraid of being harassed by the officers, in which in fact a lot of them are harassed later on, you know. So these creates a lot of problems. So we're going to work with the community.
We'll decide where these teach-ins will take place.
What kind of complaints are you getting when people call you up and say that they want to rise? Are we talking
we're talking brutality.
You've been here almost every day.
Yes.
How do you feel about ending this?
Well, I'm used to it, and I hate to discontinue, but we committed ourselves to the 18 months is upon us, and it's time to move on and deal with this on a high level now. So as Ms. Turner has stated, it is not the end of our efforts. It's just the beginning. The police department and all others who are supporting, the misconduct of the police will stand by.
Is there any parallel between the police state tactics?
South Africa had that apartheid system after the United States system. The police, we have police officers that is just as upset about us in this demonstration at this time as some of the citizens are. I had this comment made to me when I made the statement that we was ending it because there are a lot of problems inside. Okay, because when you have police officers being harassed and intimidated by other police officers, when things are that bad on the inside, of course it's going to filter out into the communities, So there's a huge problem within the department, and I don't think Chief Everett can address these problems. He has not addressed these problems, so I think until Chief Everett is fired, then we will continue to have these problems, and we have had contact with the Justice Department on this issue. The city manager had contact with the Justice Department on this issue. I'm sure the city council have had contact with the Justice Department regarding some type of report. And Chief Everett is still here, so our struggle continues.
Has there been any new developments in the Evans Zakia case?
No, they have. The only new thing that came to our attention is that the Justice Department refused to investigate that case. Of course, the civil suit is still pending, and I don't know how many Austinites is aware of that. The city of Austin hired Roy Mitten to defend the city against that, that case. And so what the city of Austin is doing is using our taxpayers' money to defend the city against police brutality case. This I resent. I resent.
Case of Evans Zakia, in the eyes of BCTF, is the case closed?
Oh no, this case is not closed. This is the most brutal case in the history of of my 51 years in this city. Okay, I've had comments from blacks from other urban states who have talked about, that have known for other urban states that's known for police brutality, and they've never witnessed or even heard of anything as blatant and as cold as the murder of Everett McKee.
Has there been a step up in the presence of the APD in East Austin?
Well, we've always had wall-to-wall police in East Austin, and we've also had wall-to-wall crime in East Austin. So I don't see where it's a step up. It's just the same old, because we have officers over in East Austin that are not there to protect our property. They do not protect property in East Austin. They protect property in North Austin. They're not there for that. So we've always had wall-to-wall officers in East Austin. There's nothing unusual about that.
Do you feel there should be a reduction in the number of officers that patrol East
sure,
Austin?
by all means. I think if we would get rid of some of them, then we might be able to reduce some of the crime, because that way I think the community will be able to get out there and begin to deal with our own problems. Which I think eventually that's what we will have to do, is deal with our own problems.
Thank you.
So this is your last day out here in front of the police.
We're ending this demonstration.
This phase of our...
Although it's always a possibility that we might resume it.
And what would make you do that? What?
We never can tell. We never can tell.
And it's, I'm sorry, did you say it's been from noon until 1 every day?
Every day for the last 18 months.
Okay, and you've been out here every day?
Yes, 7 days a week.
Just carrying a sign, or?
Yes, just holding various signs.
Yeah, this is the second long-term demonstration. We did one in 1979 behind the murder of a black Greer Crouch. We ran that demonstration 16 months.
Oh, really?
and we decided to expand this one.
And you feel like it's raised the consciousness of the
Oh,
community?
sure.
Definitely,
Oh,
yes.
sure.
Do you get many people honking?
Oh, yes.
Every day.
Every day.
And one of the ways we can measure the consciousness raising is that from the first day of demonstrations to the end, the horn increased, the horn blowing increased tremendously. And the reaction from the passers-by who come through here frequently, they express, their awareness about this issue and respond.
Support it in a supportive
Yes,
fashion?
right.
What's been the reaction from APD?
APD, we've gotten a lot of support from the police department, and we also have seen various elements of the police department who clearly disapprove, and they made that disapproval known. Yes, right, through their verbally and gestures and that kind of thing, and particularly those in the plain cars. You can't identify, it doesn't have a number on it, so much of it has come from plain car officers.
Okay, has there been any repression? Have you felt any pressure from the element within the police department that they don't want you out here? Have you been harassed?
Yes, there has been some harassment by the police, but that doesn't, have any impact on the demonstration because we took into account what we might be faced with when we made the commitment. So we were here to stay, and we weren't going to be waited out by any means.
Thanks, Bob.
Your name's Paul Randall?
Paul Randall, yes ma'am, Black Citizens Task Force.
Okay, are you should I just say a member or an officer, or how should I identify you with the Black Citizens?
Well, I'm a member of the Black Citizens Task Force
Okay.
and chairperson of the Police Brutality Committee.
Paul, I'd like to ask you a question. As you know, we've done programs on Let the People Speak around the issue of police brutality with the Black Citizens Task Force. I was in the police headquarters about 2 weeks ago about a traffic incident, and a black officer told me that he watched our programs all the time and thought they were very wonderful and that we should continue to raise these issues. And I asked him, well, I said, if y'all cleaned up your own act, maybe we wouldn't have to be raising this all the time. And he said, I wish we could. What do you think is the situation among some of the police officers who know what's going on and don't like it and do support the Black Citizens Task Force as to why they can't internally correct this police brutality?
Well, I think part of it has to do with fear of police officers within the police department, particularly those who are of lower rank. And the cleanup has to start at the top, is where it has to start. So is that sufficient?
Yeah. I think I made mention of the fact that there are police officers themselves, some of them are harassed and experience some terrible difficulties in that police department. They have 3 different associations in there. That should tell you something. They have the Black Peace Officer, they have the Hispanics Officers Association, they have the Austin Police Association, so that tells you a whole lot. So we have a lot of, contact with officers within the police department because we are not anti-police. We're anti-police brutality, and the officers understand that. So I get calls from a lot of the officers, So I'm in contact with quite a few of them, of all races in there, So I know a little bit about what's going on in there. So I think until we get rid, until Chief Everett, that's the beginning. It's not a cure-all. One man is not a cure-all. I think the police association is too powerful. And whenever you have that kind of power, that creates problems. So it's a lot of things. But I think the beginning, the tone of any department or institution is set at the top. I think Everett came in and set a dreadful tone, so I think we must begin there, you know. And until we get some elected officials who will instruct the city manager to take these kinds of actions, to remove these kinds of things, people from the ranks of our community, well then, you know, we're going to experience these things. So it's a continuous struggle, and we're willing to stay out here and struggle with these issues.
And to that, I would like to add that although the police department has sidestepped this issue, in a sense, they have admitted to there being wrongdoings within the police department, because anytime complaints are made against the police department and there is a conscious effort on the part of the police department to cover up, that's admitting that there is a problem. And when the police covers up those problems, they further compound the problem, and it leads to demonstrations like this, but ultimately I think it can lead to physical violence in the city.
Mrs. Turner, a great number of the incidences of police brutality have been perpetuated by white officers. Some have been, however, from black and Chicana Mexicana officers. I know you have said that there's one color, and that's the color blue.
Right.
Would you explain that, please?
Okay, I think it's the mentality of the officers, okay? I think a white officer, I think he have a hidden motive besides being just a sick, brutal officer. He's a little racist too, okay? But if you run across an officer that's just brutal, the color of it makes no difference. Right after they formed the Hispanic task force, okay, I received a call from some Mexican Americans who had that Hispanic task force to bust into their home. And there was some white officers that was with that group, with that task force, but the one that was brutalizing them and drawing guns on their children was the Mexican Americans, you know. So that is the reason we call them all blue, because it's the mentality. We look at the mentality of the officer. Mentality. Have nothing to do with the color. Not when he put on that uniform and that gun, that license to kill.
Mrs. Turner, would you explain for us a little bit about the Civilian Review Board as to how you think that will make a difference in cases of police brutality? Well,
we don't feel that the police can police themselves. We also don't feel like a Civilian Review Board will be a cure-all, but it will be a beginning. Just like the firing of Chief Everett will not be a cure-all, but it will be a beginning. So this is something we have to we have to start with something, okay?
What would be the composition of this Civilian
Well,
Review
I think the composition will, the majority of the people serving on that Civilian Review Board will have to come from the targeted area, the targeted area. I think the people will be elected from the communities, okay? The problem I find that the police officers have with a Civilian Review Board, their argument is that ordinary citizens are not qualified to judge them. To me, that tells me that they feel like they're above the law, because the people you have serving on juries and grand juries are ordinary citizens. So if ordinary citizens are qualified to sit on juries and grand juries, then they are qualified enough to judge police officers' conduct. Okay? So I think if the communities, they would go into those communities and hold elections, and from those targeted areas.
And I think, too, that there is a general feeling among the police that they can get away with their actions. One day, while I was standing out here protesting, a lady approached me after Mayfield received a no bill from the grand jury. She told me that a police officer approached her and commented after the no bill that we can do anything we want now and get away with it. So I think that says something about the thinking inside there.
Well, I feel that the whole judicial system is a family affair. Okay? The whole judicial system is a family affair. And I think that's the problem we have with finding an attorney to take police brutality cases here in this city. And it's a lot different than New York and those, you know, you have more progressive people. But here in this city, it is very, very hard to find. We have talked to many, many lawyers. In fact, we have some attorneys trying to check that out for us. That is very, very hard to find attorneys that will take police brutality cases, because they will have to deal with those officers. They have to go before those judges, and they're all, it's just like a fraternity. The whole judicial system is just like a big fraternity.
Mrs. Turner, what would you have the anti-racist citizens of Austin do who are not members of the task force or in any group? What would you ask them to do about this police brutality?
Oh, I would ask them to contact their elected officials, the powers to be. The people that I have found that been heavily involved in politics is politically educated at a very early age. That the people that run for the city, the country, whatever, never run for office. So I think when you talk to the powers to be, okay, then you get the message to the right elected officials that these things must cease, okay? And I think that's the way we must go with it. And usually, if they want their jobs, and most of them do, they'll stop. But that message just have not filtered out there in the right language and the right. We just haven't gotten out there strong enough. But once that moves out there into the right circles, that this will not be tolerated in this city, then you won't have those kinds of problems. Yeah.
Paul, as chairman of the Police Brutality Subcommittee of the Black Citizens Task Force, what are your plans for the future now that this particular daily demonstration is over? What do you have planned for this year?
Well, some of the things that we have discussed doing involves collecting in writing complaints of police brutality and harassment from citizens who have been harassed, and we plan to, on a regular basis, present those complaints to the City Council. We have discussed having televised hearings of sorts to further increase the awareness of our community and the entire Austin area of the fact that there are problems. That's just a couple of things that we've been throwing around. And I won't go into all the other things, but that's just something.
Thank you, President.
Yes.
You had a prepared statement. Would you mind if I look at that real quick while you're
You didn't get one?
No, I just did it.
Okay, now let's.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Who are you with?
Say again.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I didn't.
I get a special.
Good job. Good job.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I will get those petitions. Out to you all. I'll get it in the mail.
Can I get you up here with Paul and me?
Okay. Okay. All right. Oh. I needed that. Did you get a phone?
I mean, if you want to be industrious, Mom, and bring a case.
That's what I want. I'm producer of Let the People Speak. I'm here with the Black Citizens Task Force on the last day of their daily demonstration between noon and 1 in front of the Austin Police Department about police murder of black youth and of other people, police brutality. I'm talking to Paul Randall, who is chairman of the subcommittee on police brutality for the Black Citizens Task Force. We wanted to talk to you who watch ACTV and Let the People Speak about a special program that we have planned the end of July, which will come to you live from Carver Library. We'll let you know the day and the time and the telephone number that you can call in. We want to make this available to the community to let the people speak, so that live and on call-in you can tell your story of police brutality to the community. Paul, tell us a little bit more about how you think this call-in program and the other activities of the task force will help deal with this police brutality issue.
Well, I feel that the call-in increase public awareness that there is really a problem. More that there is a problem, a serious problem in this community. And just because an individual doesn't think that there is a problem or police brutality hasn't touched them physically, it doesn't necessarily mean or does not mean that there is a problem.
Paul, on behalf of Let the People Speak, we would like to honor and respect you for your work. And I know you've been out here for every day for 548 days. And on behalf of the community and Let the People Speak, we hope that you get involved in the issue around police brutality. It won't stop because the demonstrations have stopped today. The fight continues. It's a continuous struggle. And we'd like to give you our great respect. Thank you. So we would like for the people to watch Let the People Speak to see our continuing raising of this issue, and we will let you know when, the last of July, to watch for this live call-in program about police brutality coming to you from Carver Library. Let the people speak. Thank you.
I think I missed part of this interview, just a little bit of it. Just a hair. All right, I think maybe you should go across the street and take some of the stuff on the sign. Okay.